Coming up on this week's Weird News, we have stories about time travel, a cat on a bus, drunken snacks, and the cure for AIDS.
And now, it's time for this week's Weird News with Daniel Bryan.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Weird News, episode 16. On the show last week, our first story was about a teenager who broke his arm and came around from the operation to find out he had a cast and was overwhelmed with excitement. Our second story was about a company in New York who has started selling cuddles to people who just want some love. Our third story was about texting lanes that have been installed in Berlin to prevent people from bumping into each other and dropping their phones. And our final story was about a tide pigeon who got lost offshore and crash-landed on an oil rig, who was then airlifted by helicopter back to the mainland. On TWWN Music, we had Jade Burke with her song Till Twilight. If you missed last week's show, listen back on our website or download the podcast episode from your podcast source. But without further ado, now it's time for this week's weird and wonderful news that happened over the last week. Our stories today come from week 25, 2015, or, as some of you may prefer, the 15th to the 21st of June.
Story number 1.
So would you like to time travel? Well, if so, this next story could be right up your street. An advert has appeared on Gumtree in Devon, here in the UK, asking for an open-minded volunteer to try out a new time machine that one woman has invented. She's willing to try the time machine herself, but she wants a companion to join her on her maiden trip. The ad itself did not have any images of the supposed time machine, but it does say that the woman has successfully sent mice through her machine. The only catch is that she doesn't know if they went forward or backward in time. She now wishes to push ahead with human trials and to see where they end up. She doesn't mind who it is, they can be male or female. However, they must be open-minded and have a good sense of humour.
For the past few months, I've been working on a design for a time machine in my garage. So far, I've been able to make mice disappear, but I don't know if they're going back or forward in time.
The ad itself said the following.
I'm looking for a travel partner, male or female, who is open-minded and with a good sense of humour, to accompany me on my first human transportation. Owner-drivers would be a plus, as the machine needs to be taken to a wide open space, like a beach, to prevent property damage. Happy to split fuel costs. Looking forward to hearing from you soon.
The woman claims she's been working on the time machine in her garage for some time, perfecting it. I guess you don't want to rush these things, do you? So, do you think the woman received any responses? Do you think she's still with us, or has she gone into the distant past or the distant future?
Story number 2.
Are you ever on a bus, doing a bit of people watching? Wondering where they're going to and what they're up to? However, seeing people on a bus isn't that unordinary. But what if you were on a bus and it pulled over at a stop and a cat got on before the bus drove on? Would you find that a bit more strange? Well, this is exactly what's happening in Dorset in the UK. A cat, nicknamed Dodger, has been taking a liking to bus travel. The 15-year-old cat regularly rides the 10-mile bus route from Bridport to Charmouth. All the drivers on the route know him, and they even bring tins of food along with them to feed him. He trundles around on the bus, sitting on the passengers' laps and loving the experience. When they're back at his original stop, the driver lets him off and he goes on his merry way. His owner believes he first took a liking to a bus when he discovered them to be warm like little greenhouses, and living behind a bus station, they were readily available to Dodger. Initially, when he first went on a bus, his owner was told by a friend that she saw her cat getting onto a bus. Obviously, she was immediately worried that she'd never see him again. But as she was getting into her car to go look for him, she saw him getting off a bus. When she approached the bus driver, he told her that he's been doing it for ages, and he likes sitting on the seats that were warm from where people had been sitting in them. So a cat catches the bus. What will happen next? Do you have any animals that do strange things like this? Get in touch and tell us your story. You can become part of this week's Weird News. This section of the show could be dedicated to you. Sponsor the show and we can fill this section with a tailor-made advert just for you. Reach your audience in a different way with the power of a podcast. We are open to your ideas, so get in touch at thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com. Get on board with us now as our listeners grow and we can reach more and more subscribers together.
Story number 3.
You know that feeling when you've had a bit too much to drink and you get peckish? And that kebab shop suddenly looks really appealing. Well, one man in China this week had that hungry feeling. Unable to find a shop to satisfy his craving, he started to stumble home. However, his luck increased when on the way home he came across a pail that had some sesame seed paste in it, which he started tucking into. What he didn't realise was that instead of being sesame seed paste, it was actually concrete. He managed to eat about 250 grams of concrete before realising something wasn't quite right here. So off to the hospital it was for our hungry little drunk man, where he had his stomach pumped. So when you're next having a kebab at the end of the night, maybe think to yourself, this isn't as bad as it could be.
Story number 4.
Everyone has heard of the North Korean dictator, Kim Jong-il. From time to time, different stories come out from North Korea about weapons or assassinations. Well, this week, another story has emerged. North Korea claim they have found a wonder drug that cures AIDS, eradicates Ebola, and prevents cancer. Quite a statement, I think you'll agree, and if true, could change hundreds of thousands of lives all around the world. North Korea claim the drug consists of ginseng grown from fertiliser and mixed with other ingredients. It is taken in the form of an injection and is known as Kimdang-2. On the drug's website, it states that a study was conducted in Africa where the drug was tested on HIV-positive patients. Every person who took the drug supposedly had an improvement, and 56% of people were fully cured. However, before we get carried away and think that the cure for some of the world's most poignant illnesses has been found, we must remember that it was North Korea who claimed previously that Kim Jong-il had invented the hamburger and that he had magical powers that meant he never had to use a toilet. So, sadly, I think it's safe to assume that North Korea have somewhat overinflated their claims here in the schoolboy equivalent to, my dad's harder than your dad. And there we have it. This week's 4 news stories that we hope you enjoyed enough to tell your friends about and to get in touch with the show. Send your comments to
email thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com
or go to our social media pages.
Comment on Facebook at facebook.com/thisweeksweirdnews or on Twitter @weeksweirdnews.
Or check out the website where you'll find more about the show. To do this, go to
www.thisweeksweirdnews.com.
And now it's time for TWWN music. And now, TWWN music. On this week's TWWN music, we are doing our own bit of time travel, and we are going to take you all along with us. Back when we first started TWWN music, back in episode 10, we had a young artist called Luke Potter with his song So Sugar. Well, this week, he's back again, and with another great song. We have been given advance access to his new song that's out on the 26th of June to download and buy on iTunes. And if you like it, you're able to pre-order it now, so don't forget to go do that after listening to the show. Luke's hoping that this song will be the one that gets him to the charts, and with your help, that could indeed happen. The song in question is called Do You Love Me? Check it out and see what you think. Check out our website at www.thisweeksweirdnews.com and look at the TWWN music page to see links to Luke's social media and to check out his previous song, So Sugar. From tomorrow, as part of Luke's Potter Monday on Twitter and YouTube, he'll be releasing a new music video for Do You Love Me? And as soon as it's released, it'll be available to our listeners to watch on our website. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back next time with more weird and wonderful news from around the world. Now, to play us out, it's Luke Potter with Do You Love Me?
Giving me mixed signals from your heels to your eyes. You're giving me goosebumps, but baby, it's a lie. You're like a top-down, turn-around beautiful thing. You're like a fairground game where nobody wins. Maybe I'm addicted, maybe I'm a fool. Victim, playing by your rules. Maybe I'm a fool.
Join us next time for more weird and wonderful news from around the world. Only on this week's Weird News. Goodbye.